Well, it was amazing, and to be fair, you know, as much as I might joke and say we're now suddenly Radio 2 darlings again, it's an amazing situation that we find ourselves in, because, you know, we are kind of having a little bit of a second bite at the cherry here, and it is so great to be in this situation. And now we're a bit older and we're a bit more appreciative of what's going on. We're enjoying it so much more, and I do honestly think that's feeding out into the crowd, and they're appreciating that and throwing it back at us. So every gig that we seem to be doing at the minute, it's a bit like a tennis match, you know, just sharing the love. But, you know, way back in the 90s, we were kind of doing really well, but we were young kids and we probably took it for granted quite a lot. We probably expected that it should be happening, and we probably didn't stop and smell the roses, as my dad used to tell me to do all the time. Whereas now, we remember everything, and as much as we feel we deserve to be in this situation, it's also not something that happens to every band. So, you know, we are absolutely loving it, and we feel like we're going from strength to strength, you know. Do you know what a highlight of that day was for me? I grew up being a bit of a fan of Haircut 100. So I find myself backstage, not long arrived, and then the next thing, Nick Hayward's bounding over to me going, "Hi, Rick, I'm really enjoying what you're doing at the minute." So, oh, well, I'd never met him before, so that was really nice for Nick Hayward to come over and say hello. I mean, I can't remember the last time I listened to Radio 1. That was probably towards the end of the 90s. I mean, I would have no idea what was going on there. But yes, you tend to hone in on what you're comfortable with, and Radio 2 is very comfortable. But we, you know, obviously our new song, Waiting for the Catch, is very Radio 2 friendly. So why not, you know? I mean, when we go out and do gigs, which we've been doing relentlessly for years and years, we've noticed ourselves over the years, and certainly in the last 10 years, that not only are the people that were there the first time round are coming, so people of our age group who are out to reminisce and have a great night out, and you know, they used to have to get babysitters, but now they're bringing their children with them. And the funny thing is, I'm noticing these 8, 9, 11, 13-year-old kids, and they're all singing every word with the mum and dads. It's not like they've been dragged there under sufferance. They look like they're having the best night out. So I love now zoning in. If I see a young kid with the parents at the very front of the gig, I'll make a big point of introducing them to the crowd, finding out how old they are, you know, how many gigs they've been to, and suddenly everyone's in the same space in the room, everyone's together, and it just makes for a really special night. And that's what thrills me as much as actually playing these days. Regarding the newer songs, like the last album, which, by the way, we had a number one album in January, and then about 2 weeks after that went to number one, we were back in the studio doing the Liquid Gold album. So I feel a bit guilty. I feel like we've given birth to a child in January and locked it in the cupboard straight away, and it's been totally overlooked and ignored by us. So I'm really looking forward to getting out and doing a big tour at the end of the year, so we can actually play some of the songs off this new album. But yeah, certainly with age and experience, you hone your craft, you learn what you're doing more, you put more time and thought into things, and I think that shows through, you know. Regarding Liquid Gold, yes, we have gone back and revisited some old hits, and contrary to what I've just said about playing these songs live, the whole idea of revisiting a handful of our old hits was to make them sound fresh and relevant to now, and almost like what we would have written them like now, if you know what I mean. So we have tinkered with the arrangements of some of these quite well-known songs of ours, but not enough to worry our hardcore fans that might think we're just destroying an original song that they know and love so well. You know, it's still the same thing, but it's I'm calling Liquid Gold grown-up music for grown-up people. That's my easiest kind of turn of phrase for it, because it just sounds quite classic sounding. We always have to include Chasing Rainbows. It's our kind of calling card, really. And that's the problem, because that song means so much to so many people. Over the years, so many people have messaged to say it was the song, a funeral song choice for a family member or a friend, or a first dance at a wedding. It's got so much meaning to so many people that we were a bit conscious about revisiting that one and doing it justice. But I think we've just about kind of managed to keep the original sentiment and the feeling, but we've kind of added the feels with the orchestra. I think now it's got a lot more emotion within it, and I think over the space of the next few months, as people get to know it and love it and enjoy it, I'm hoping it'll kind of take over from the original in a way of getting the feels, because that's what orchestras do. The orchestras give you the feels. They make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. And I'm so proud of this album in the sense that every song on it, there's moments of feels throughout the whole album. And, you know, I've been sat on it for a few months now, and it's a joy to start suddenly releasing these songs out into the public, and the reaction that they're getting is just more than we could have ever dreamed of, because we are mucking around with our back catalogue in the best possible way. But to see that the reaction that we're getting is what we wanted and what we intended makes it an even more special record already, and it's not even out yet. So there's songs like Ocean Pie that was a big hit for us way back in the day now, that's just taken a whole different level of feels, and Better Days, which was always orchestrated anyway, but now we've stripped it right back, so it is literally just piano, acoustic and strings, and it brings out the raw emotion of the song a lot more than it did on the original record. So these are songs that nobody's heard yet, and I'm so excited for people to hear. Some people were saying to me, what's it like to suddenly have a number one? And it wasn't a sudden thing. We spent an awful long time building our name back up into what it is now, you know, with hard graft gigging and you know, releasing new stuff sporadically, but just kind of staying in there, keeping the flow going. And I think that number one was a culmination of all of that hard work and perseverance. And, you know, around the time of it being readied to come out, we had a feeling that it was going to do okay. We had no idea it might go to number one, but we had a feeling it might be the highest charting position we'd had just from the pre-order figures. But, you know, you never know until people hear it, what they're going to think. The worst record in the world might go to number one, but will it stand the test of time? But I do honestly think a matter of time. You know, it's still only 9 months old, but people are still going on about how much they're loving it. And I'm hoping that in a few years, they'll still be saying the same thing about it. But now we've got this another new album in the same year. I mean, most bands, if they get a number one, they'd spend 4 years dining out on it, but we literally gave it 2 weeks and went and did another one. Our first ever single that we released was called Mark, and it's about leaving your mark forever, basically. So I was adamant that should be our first single, because I didn't know if the album would even come out. So I was thinking, I've always wanted and always have been in bands. We've got this opportunity to release this 7-inch plastic vinyl thing, so it has to be Mark. I've left my mark forever, because even if we stopped after that one single, I've left my mark forever on that little bit of plastic that'll be there forevermore. I mean, we've always been a really good live band, and we've always been quite a good live catch. So, you know, over the years, we've been sporadically doing. They've become known as Shed-Sembers, because we usually go out every other year, November and December, and do a big UK tour. And we always do really well, but it usually takes months for it to sell. Whereas this time they've just pretty much just vanished, and it is ace to see, and it just goes to show we are riding the crest of a wave at the minute. But, you know, again, we're really good at what we do, and we're a very good live band, and we put the effort in. And I think people come and see us 6 or 7 times on a 23-day tour because they just know what they're going to get, and they're going to get a great night out. And I'm firmly of the belief these days, certainly the way that the current life is, you know, people are a bit skint. So if they're going to put their hand in the pocket and spend a little bit of money on a ticket to see Shed 7, then I insist that they have the best night they possibly can. You know, but people love coming back for more, which is fine by me. And we love coming to Wales, we love coming to Cardiff. We've been to Cardiff for the past couple of tours, and it is a highlight of the tour, to be honest with you. Everyone looks like they're having an ace time. The crowds are really responsive, and yeah, we can't wait to come. I think it's the second night of the tour, isn't it? So we'll be finding our gig feet there, and we'll be putting everything we can into it to make it the best night it possibly can be.